Okay, I've got to apologize for being a couple of minutes late for the 9:30 live, but I was taking an amazing course that is really helping people dismantle racism. So it just ended. So, how is everybody today? Please jump on and say hello. Say where you're living, where you're listening from. Are you part of the people in the East Coast in the snow? I feel for you. I'm in California in the sunshine, so it's amazing. Anyway, I was thinking this morning, kind of about a lot of things, but the way we have, a lot of people, I should say, have certain assumptions that we make and the judgments that we make because of our assumptions. I remember one time, this is many years ago, probably over 25 years ago, when I lived in New Jersey, and I was walking. No, I think, no, my youngest daughter had come home from school, and she had to be maybe about, I don't know, 5, 6, or 7, whatever age that is when kids, start to learn to read. And I remember she came home really, 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 really upset. And I asked her what she was upset about. And she goes, "I hate that crossing guard." And I'm like, okay, that's a really strong word for a 5, 6, or 7-year-old to use. And she's like, "Oh, mommy, that crossing guard is so stupid. She's just really stupid, mommy. I don't like her." And I'm like, all righty. Why is she stupid? And what are you thinking about her that makes her stupid? And she goes, "Well, she told me to hurry up when I was crossing the street." And I was like, okay. She's like, "Yeah, she told me to hurry up. She's really stupid." She goes, "But the sign right there on the ground says slow children, and I was going slow, and she told me to hurry up." And I remember just busting out laughing. First of all, it was the cutest thing, but her strong, literally visceral reaction to something that she misunderstood as a 6-year-old, or however old she was, how literal she was, that she thought the sign for the cars, whether it was on the ground or on a sign, I don't remember, that said slow children, which is telling the traffic and the other people slow down, there are children present. She took that literally, that it was telling the children to go slow. And the reaction that she had, "I hate the crossing guard. The crossing guard is so stupid. She doesn't know what she's doing. She told me to hurry up," when clearly the sign says slow children. So I was going slow. Guys, how many times have you seen other people, or maybe even yourself, have this judgment and visceral reaction over something that perhaps we misunderstood, or we misread, or we didn't fully understand the meaning of? And we created this emotional response or reaction because of it, and had this judgment of the other person. I mean, my 6-year-old was convinced that the crossing guard was stupid. She didn't know what she was doing because I read the sign and I did the right thing, and she told me to hurry up and cross the street. And I mean, as cute as it is, and as funny as it is for a 6-year-old to have that reaction, it's not really that cute and funny when you are a grown person in the climate that especially this past year has brought us all to. Unless we fully understand and research and know the facts, a lot of folks are making assumptions and having these reactions without a full understanding of situations. And I'm thinking particularly because I was just in a group of some amazing women really doing some work to dismantle their racism. And it got me to thinking about some of the conversations that a lot of people have found themselves in that are defending and reacting and responding to something that they may or may not fully understand. They may or may not know the full history behind. They may or may not know the depth of the experience of the other person and what that means to them, and why certain causes and certain situations create an emotion in them. And so I wanted to share with you and invite you in your life to look for ways where you can seek to understand at a deeper level. And that may be getting off of social media and on the phone, or on Zoom, or however it is that you connect to the people in your life. It may be just as simple into doing some research, increasing your knowledge, having a deeper understanding that is different from assuming that you know the experience of what someone is going through, and why they are reacting the way they do. When you look at social justice, racial justice, cultural inclusivity, and, you know, for me as a person of color, I hear people say, you know, Black people should do this, and these are people who are not Black, or why don't they do this, or it's their own fault, or Black on Black crime, and Black Lives Matter, you know, it should be all lives matter, and they're a terrorist group, you know, whatever comes up. I have a variety of different reactions to that. And so what we get to do as human beings with each other, human beings with good and loving hearts and compassion, is to intentionally seek to understand the other person, the person on the receiving end, the person on the giving end, and to really open up our hearts and let people hear your heart, but also open up your ears to hear other people's hearts. The conversation I ended up having with my daughter when I was really confused about why she was hating the crossing guard so, because I was just like, where does it say slow children? I was going slow. I was paying attention to the directions. I walked her to school the next day so I could see what she was talking about. It was really cute. We're walking to school and she goes, that's the crossing guard I don't like. She's so stupid, mommy. And she goes, see, and she points to this big sign on the, you know, the painting on the ground next to the stop sign or whatever. See, it says slow children right there. And she kept telling me to hurry up. And it was an opportunity for me to use all of the skills that I was not sure of as a parent on how to have my 6-year-old daughter have a different perspective and see that, you know what, honey, that sign is for the cars who go too fast, and maybe going too fast as to put the children in harm as they're crossing the street. So it's telling the cars to slow down because there are children. But it literally said slow children. She read it literally as slow children, which meant children, go slow. Slow down, children, or however it was she read it. And I want to invite everyone to look at situations that you may not fully understand and to open up your hearts and your minds and your web search Google browser to have deeper understanding of things before having judgment of them. Because I see a lot of judgment, a lot of assumption, a lot of shoulding. They should do this. She should say that. She should. He should. They should. With everything that's going on in the world today, which is different every day, depending upon which news channel you look at. But, you know, I'm always marveling about the opinions of people who are reporting the news, the opinions of people who are in social media. And I also wonder where they're getting their facts and what systems, you know, where is the systems where they grew up in, the situations they grew up in, I should say, how much that is influencing their assumptions and opinions and judgments about certain situations that are happening today. And so I would invite everyone who may or may not be guilty now, or may have been guilty in the past, or maybe guilty later. Guilty is a really wrong word to use, but really have had situations in their lives where there was, and I can think of many for myself, where there was a preconceived assumption on what something meant that I formed a judgment about without digging deeper and peeling back the layers and seeing everyone as conscious humans, conscious beings of choice, and understanding the lens through which people are seeing certain situations through. Like, what color are the glasses that you're looking out of? How dirty are the windows that you're looking out of? My 6-year-old was looking through the eyes of an innocent child, but because she was so literal, still is kind of in her 30s, but so literal about what things meant, that she formed these assumptions and judgments and had this feeling come up with her that really created a mistrust of the crossing guard because of the lens that she was seeing that through. And we can take these lessons from children and apply them to our adult lives and see, what lens are we looking through? Are our lenses of privilege? Are our lens of oppression? Are our lens of pain, shame, guilt, trauma? What lens are we seeing these things through that have us have these certain misinterpretations or assumptions or judgments on situations in our lives? So that was kind of my thought for the day that I will leave you with. If anything resonated with you, please show me some love in the chat. Say hello. Let me know what you thought. And because my heart is to really help people open up their hearts and their minds to different perspectives so that we can come to, a deeper understanding of each other's situations, which will hopefully help us to heal not only with ourselves, but in our relationships and in our communities with everything that's going on in the world. So, and I hope you receive it as that, and let me know what you think. And did you love the story of my daughter? She gets really embarrassed when I tell that story, but it's one of my favorite of many stories that child, the things that came out of her mouth that really had me thinking, you know what? There's so many lessons we can learn from, situations and stories that we have in our past and how we can apply that to how we react to things today. All right, guys, happy Wednesday. Have a great rest of your week. And I will be back next week at 9:30 a.m. Pacific.